Please video like and subscribe this channel. The transport shuttle shuddered as it descended through the storm-tossed atmosphere of Valara Prime, a planet whose name alone carried whispers of conquest and secrecy across the galactic sectors. Commander Jeren Tuv, a seasoned human liaison officer for interstellar diplomacy, adjusted his uniform and glanced around at the other passengers. Most were scientists, envoys, and security personnel. Few, if any, expected surprises beyond bureaucratic disputes. She sat quietly in the corner of the shuttle, her slender frame swathed in a simple cloak that shimmered faintly under the dim lighting. To Jeren, she seemed, at first, completely ordinary. Pale lavender skin, faintly luminescent eyes, and a calm composure that did not hint at greatness or danger. Nothing about her suggested royalty, war command, or even political significance. In short, she seemed like someone who might be lost among the crowd if not for her unusual beauty. "Is she with your delegation?" Jeren whispered to his aide, a young cadet named Lyra. Lyra shrugged, her face lit with curiosity. "I don't think so. No identification. Just, appears on the shuttle manifest last minute." Jeren nodded, shrugging. Curiosity pricked at him, but duty called, and he turned back to the viewport, watching the storm clouds swirl across the alien planet below. The arrival. The shuttle landed on Valara Prime's central platform, a massive structure suspended above the planet's capital city. The platform's edges gleamed with metallic polish, reflecting the harsh glare of the twin suns above. Soldiers in ceremonial armor lined the walkway, their expressions unreadable beneath their visors. Jeren assumed protocol, a standard welcoming ceremony for visiting dignitaries. He descended the ramp, keeping pace with his team. The woman followed quietly, almost unnoticed, moving with the ease of someone who had done this 1,000 times. He caught sight of something unsettling just as the delegation approached the central hall of authority. The soldiers, who had been standing at attention, slowly began to kneel as the woman drew near. Jeren stopped in his tracks. "What?" he whispered. Lyra's mouth fell open. They're kneeling." The woman's eyes never left the walkway ahead. She didn't raise her hands, speak, or acknowledge the soldiers' submission. Yet every single one of them obeyed as if compelled by some unspoken command. Jeren's mind raced. He had dealt with alien royalty before, yet something about this scene defied every protocol he had learned. The kneeling soldiers did not bow to a ceremonial role, they bowed to her presence itself. "Who is she?" he demanded, turning to the nearest aide. The aide shook his head. I don't know. Manifest lists her as Valara guest, no rank, no designation. Just, her name. Her name? Jeren asked. "She is called Sarithia," the aide whispered. The name carried weight even in the quiet moment. Jeren didn't understand it yet, but something deep in his instincts warned him this was not an ordinary visitor. The Hall of Authority. Inside the hall, the scale of Valara Prime's governance became evident. Towers of polished obsidian rose to the ceiling, and the walls were lined with banners representing every major sector in the planet's coalition. Delegates from dozens of systems waited silently, whispers buzzing like static. Sarithia moved down the aisle as if the hall itself parted for her. The soldiers remained kneeling along the perimeter, eyes fixed on her, their bodies tense with rigid discipline. Jeren followed, caught between awe and disbelief. The murmurs of the assembled council reached him. "Who is she?" one alien delegate asked another. "Queen of the hidden sector," the reply was hushed. Jeren's head snapped around. "Queen? Which sector? She's supposed to be a nobody." The other delegates shook their head. "Only a few know she exists. She has been hidden from official records for centuries, moving in shadows. Few have seen her. Those who do, kneel." He tried to process it. The woman he had thought was unremarkable was not just royalty, she was the ruler of an entire hidden sector, a part of Valara Prime that few had ever visited or even acknowledged. And now, the soldier's obedience confirmed the truth. The shock of recognition. As the council began, Jeren attempted to maintain composure, but his mind raced. He remembered every interaction they had had on the shuttle, calm, measured, almost invisible. The quiet grace he had assumed indicated modesty, not authority. And yet, every soldier who now knelt obeyed without hesitation. A shiver ran down his spine. "She's commanding them," he whispered to Lyra. Lyra shook her head. No words. No gestures. Just her being here. Every instinct told him that Sarithia's authority was not political, it was intrinsic. Her presence alone compelled recognition and submission. The hidden power. The council sessions proceeded. Sarithia spoke for the first time, her voice soft yet crystal clear. Words were few, but each carried weight beyond their meaning. The soldiers straightened only when she authorized it, the hall seemed to vibrate subtly with her authority, and even the most seasoned diplomats leaned forward, ears attuned to every syllable. Jeren realized, slowly, the truth. He had underestimated her entirely. What he had thought was ordinary was in fact extraordinary. Sarithia's presence alone could sway armies, calm unrest, and impose order where chaos might have prevailed. He glanced at the kneeling soldiers. They weren't bowing to ceremonial law, they were bowing to power, respect, and absolute recognition of sovereignty. His own role, as a human diplomat, felt insignificant in comparison. And yet, he also understood something else. She did not demand loyalty through fear. Those kneeling soldiers obeyed out of trust and recognition of her authority, not threat. A conversation between worlds. After the session, Jeren found himself walking alongside her in the hall's gardens. The alien flora shimmered with bioluminescence, the air thick with pollen that glowed faintly like stars. "Commander Jeren," she said, her voice gentle, "you expected one thing, and saw another." I thought you were nobody," he admitted. "I had no idea." She smiled faintly. "Most do. Appearances are deceiving. Power lies not always in words or title, but in presence, decision, and understanding." He nodded slowly, absorbing the lesson. "And the soldiers, they don't kneel out of fear." "No," she said simply. "They kneel because they recognize the balance I maintain, the justice I serve, and the lives I protect. Fear may command obedience, but respect commands loyalty." For the first time, Jeren realized that his understanding of leadership, of authority, of power itself, was incomplete. He had encountered monarchs and generals, but none had wielded influence like Sarithia. She commanded without dominating, inspired without demanding. The realization. That night, as the twin moons of Valara Prime rose over the city, Jeren stood on the balcony, watching soldiers patrol the palace grounds, their movements precise yet relaxed. Sarithia joined him, silent for a moment. The glow of the moons reflected in her eyes, which now seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries. "I thought she was nobody," Jeren whispered to himself. She turned to him. "Many have thought the same. The galaxy often underestimates what it cannot immediately measure. Never forget this lesson." Jeren bowed not because she demanded it, but because he recognized the truth in her presence. In that instant, he understood something profound. Leadership, authority, and respect were not declared, they were felt, recognized, and earned. And sometimes, what appears to be ordinary is, in reality, extraordinary beyond comprehension. The soldiers continued their patrol, bowing occasionally to the unseen power that governed the palace. And Jeren knew that the galaxy would never be the same again. End.